Men, today's video is for you. And this video is in regards to your tendency to watch porn and what it's doing to your life. And this could be unconscious or consciously you are aware of what patterns have been occurring with your habitual need to fulfill a short-term pleasure stored within a deep, deep part of you avoiding yourself. The only reason a man goes onto these sites is to feel something other than the emotion he's currently in. That can be boredom, that can be loneliness, that could be a need to fulfill some sort of void, wound, loss, you name it. Because that's what these sites are for. These sites aren't to uplift you into a man who is strong, who is determined and disciplined and self-motivated. It's quite the opposite. And we can see it. Now, within the work I do and the messages I speak, I am well aware of men's truth. The majority of men in today's society are addicted to porn. And with their addiction to porn, it leads to a lack of self-confidence, self-inquiry, and lasting relationships that uplift them to wanting to become a better man. For within these sites, it entraps them in an area that needs their attention the most. But how can they give themselves this attention when they're giving it away to a screen, to a void, to a pleasure? They can't. And this is the problem both men and women need to be aware of. In my eyes, I truly believe porn should be illegal. And I don't think it's illegal because, well, first off, it's one of the biggest industries upon planet Earth is the sex industry. And the amount of money that comes in that is generated off of people's wounds, insecurities, needs that are not coming from a heart-centered place of fulfillment, rather a need to find fulfillment outside of themselves due to the society we live in today, where we are not taught divine connection, sacred connection, human connection. So we find these connections on media outlets, and it usually doesn't end with porn. It falls under now doom scrolling on TikTok, on Instagram, you name it. Trying to escape the reality a person is currently in. And first and foremost, I want you guys to know that it's okay to be honest with yourself. It's okay to see where you are not showing up for yourself or where you are giving your energy away to sources that are not sourceful to you returning back inside of the source within your being. The infinite tap of inner hydration. Now, inner hydration, y'all, okay, these sites dehydrate you. These sites dehydrate your spirit. It puts a level of strain onto your mental, your physical, your well-being. Because not only are you absorbing a lot of these energies upon the screen in the interaction of intercourse that is planned, that is fake, that is acting out what it takes to make you depleted through scenes of two people joining together in connection, which isn't connection at all. It's disconnection to what it means to be a human being. Now, sex is something that is overly promoted, overly monetized, overly consumed. And we don't question why. We just, in today's society, are in agreement to it. We're in agreement to it because guess what? Sex holds a lot of shame. Sexuality holds a lot of shame So to even address the very things that are causing this shame requires us to face ourselves, to face why we are incapable of bringing sacredness to this word. So we would rather leave it in the shadow, leave it in the dark. And we can't do this anymore. Do you know why we can't do this anymore? Because it's becoming so evident, not only within this generation now, but if we do not end this cycle, abuse and manipulation of this very powerful energy source, it will cause destruction within mental health matters, within our next generation. I'm committed to assisting. I'm committed to bringing my light upon this topic that goes so unnoticed by the majority of people who remain unconscious. And perhaps you have been unconscious until this point. The next time you go to click on one of these sites, sit with yourself. Just for a moment, that's all I ask. Just sit with you right before you go to click on the hub. What part of you is doing that? What part of you is doing that? It's not normal. I'm going to be really real. It's become normal in today's society, but that doesn't mean it's healthy. That doesn't mean it's okay. That doesn't mean it's creating balance upon the masculine and feminine collective. What it's doing is regurgitating the very shame that has been perpetualized in a society that cannot discuss the remains of what it means to be in inner alignment while having sex. A lot of people are not in inner alignment just on the daily. So we find alignment, short-term alignment, when we climax through an orgasm. But we cannot withhold that alignment because it takes us to the God frequency when we reach that climax. But the more high we go, the more we will plummet into the hole where we remain for most of the day until we, with our conscious ability, have the resources to climb out of that hole. And once we are out of the hole, maybe it's the pit of your constant need to fulfill short-term pleasures in your life. Maybe it's the need to run away from relationships because they scare you. So you'd rather create intimate relationships with a screen that do not get to trigger you, that do not get to confront you. For you are the master upon that. Without knowing, you are the one being controlled. You are the one being controlled when you go onto these sites. There's a part of you that is being taken over by the very energy that it is your duty to train. We train our sexual energy by forming a relationship to it, by using it for our betterment, and not allowing it to go on autopilot, to destruct our lives, our mental being, our spirituality, and our essence. I care about you guys, and I see that no women, first and foremost, are talking about this at all. Sexuality, men's sexuality in particular. Men's sexuality in particular. I said it. No one gives a shit that men are suffering in their own sexual disempowerment. No one gives a shit. Why does this society not give a shit? Because this is what's keeping men weak. And when men are weak, they are more easily controlled, manipulated, and turned into. There are not a lot of men willing to fight this war. Not willing to overcome the challenges that are put onto their path daily. And what are these challenges? I'm sure you're well aware of it. Every time you open up your screen, you're probably seeing half-naked booties, half-naked women at an early age. At an early age, being programmed into men's mind that what? Women are sexual objects. And guess what? Women are celebrated for being sexual objects, which guess what? Makes women disconnected from femininity. More so in tune with masculinity, who would create a career exploiting the feminine power. The feminine power that is being manipulated by a masculine force. And this is causing harm not only to our men, but to our women. And we need to put an end to this. How do we put an end to this? By discussing it more. By being open to being uncomfortable talking about sex. Because the more it is talked about openly without judgment, then we get to heal that aspect within the collective, within you, within me, within this world, for our next generation. It starts with you owning up to what you are doing to yourself when you go onto these sites. And if you're a woman watching this, why do you feel the need to exploit your body to feel some sort of worthiness? Worthiness that you are not able to see within yourself as being who you are. Instead, you feel the need to exploit yourself for the betterment of not feeling a wound within you that is also leaking out onto our men. And it's a perpetuation of unconscious behavior internally towards sexuality that needs to be harnessed, connected to, and taken in as a sovereign act, which is sex. Sex is a sovereign act back to the alignment of God, Creator, that has created you in perfection, not to tarnish who you are, not to exploit yourself, not to diminish your light by fueling these companies who are mistreating people, who are abusing people, who are creating destruction upon humanity by manipulating the most powerful energy of all. And guess what? There is consequences to it. And we may not be able to see them yet, but we will. If you really look, if you really have the eyes to look, you will be aware of it. You will be aware of how it's affecting men and women. But you have to be a strong person to do that, because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to see what is going on by our arrogance of not being able to confront ourselves in truth, with compassion and with love. All I ask is for you to sit with yourself, not in shame, not in guilt, not in self-hatred for participating in these things. That is not the intention of this video. The intention of this video is to bring you back in center with your inner alignment that knows better. Stillness is your friend. The stillness that comes after an urge. Will you follow it, or will you follow the unconscious that turns your light off? Because if your light was on while you were watching these very things that are so open to the public, you wouldn't dare click on it again. I'm going to end it on that note. I love you guys. And I don't shame you for what you have done or what you are continuously doing within your life. All I care about is knowing that you are not alone in this, that a lot of people are going through this and are scared of it. I don't want you guys to be scared of your urges and what comes from you not participating in it. You may feel a wound, you may feel a void, you may feel alone, but it is worth it to sit in it, to feel it and transmute it, rather than avoid it for your whole entire life. until it leaks into every single relationship you get into, because you do not have the ability to form an intimate relationship with yourself. So, that's all I have today. I hope today's video assisted you in some way, awoken you in some way, and know that we are in this together, and I love you. I will see you in my next video. Bye.